we gotta talk about that because that is kind of like making, having the people talk. People are saying that this is like the new Lord of the Rings. This is like a big deal. People are very excited about it. And have you watched it? You haven't watched it yet, right? Because it's like not in the cinema anymore.
Nah, yeah, they're almost replacing the Dune on the cinema with another new movies here.
Yeah, that should
And
be penalized by prison.
but I haven't watched Dune, but I hear so many coworkers of mine at the office talking about it. They were arguing which one is correct based on the novel and etc. But I just wonder, this is just a fiction, right?
Yeah, I know what you would ask that question because people are very serious about like discussing like
Yeah,
politics and
yeah.
environmentalism and like is this like it's like this is a documentary like
Real.
yeah, it's fiction. However, if I mean I could see a scenario where Dune could become a real thing, or like at least some of the stuff that happens in that universe could become real. And that's something I guess we could talk about today.
Yeah.
So, do we need to break down Dune a little bit for the non-Dune Dune heads out there, without any
I guess
spoilers, of
so.
course?
Yeah, please
Yeah,
don't do spoiler because I'm pretty sure some part of this earth hasn't really watched Dune movie at the
I
theater.
I do. That is true. I think you are the exception. But
Yeah.
but in case there is another one, maybe another person from Indonesia watching this, maybe that person hasn't watched it either. So this is going to be spoiler free
Yeah, but
in terms of the movies. Yeah.
correct. You just told me that it has a potential to become a reality. I wonder
Yeah.
why. Maybe you can
Yeah.
elaborate it a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously at some point, so Dune takes place in our galaxy,
Mhm.
in a place like very, very long into the future, like thousands of years into the future, where we have become a space-faring civilization, meaning we live on different planets, different exotic planets. But it's kind of like, I'm kind of reminded of Aldous Huxley, who said that when you study history, you become very aware that even though things might look very, very different from one culture to another, one epoch to another, everything's basically the same. So kind of like the human condition is the same. So in the Dune universe, it's very feudalistic. We have an emperor. We have these different houses, and we have humans being colonizers and schemers, and so it's kind of like very close to home, but it's out in the universe. And in this universe, we have this thing called spice, which is a psychoactive drug that is being cultivated on this planet called Arrakis, which is also called Dune. So this is kind of where the main setting of the story. And the different houses, the different families are very interested in spice because it is required for space travel. We have these space navigators who use spice to actually sort of to be able to mentally navigate the universe, and it's also used for other reasons as well. And so this is a universe where the human mind is being cultivated to an utmost degree in different ways. So we have a lot of the movies about sort of how far can consciousness stretch and what happens when a person reaches another level and people sort of follow them and worship them because they haven't attained a different level of mind, if you will. That's very much what Dune is about. It is sort of like surrounded this psychoactive drug, and how people have become, and how humanity have become very dependent upon this drug for civilization to work. And so that's kind of like the setting of Dune. But what we could but what is the reason for this, right? What is the reason why you have these space navigators and you have all these different people who rely on these crazy mental abilities to actually make things run? And that is because that before the book even begins, before the story even begins, there was this thing called the Butlerian Jihad,
Mhm.
which was the response by a collective mankind, the remaining mankind, to their subjugation to machine intelligence. So way back before the book starts, so this is not a spoiler, but way before the story starts, the first book began, there was this jihad, this revolt against thinking machines, conscious robots. And it kind of only ended when all the machines, or thinking machines, had been destroyed, down to the most simple calculator. And kind of like the main concept there was like, humankind must not be replaced. And so, yeah, they replaced the machines. And this, of course, created a gap of need when it came to navigation, when it came to travel, but also calculation, data analysis, strategy, what have you, because they had been outsourcing all their mental faculties and abilities to machines, right?
Okay.
So that's where we have these mentats developing, these very, very logical individual who can calculate huge sums, who have a vast memory, who are very strategic and tactically thinking. We have the Bene Gesserit, this essentially like space witches who also have trained their body and their mind. So they really have sort of like gained mastery over everything down to the muscle fiber. So they can control their heart rate, they can calm themselves down in stressful situations. They're very good at fighting because they really know the body so intimately, and very, very intelligent, very strategic thinking as well. And then we have the space navigators, who are more the most weird, exclusive part of the pack, who can navigate these big ships. And so yeah, sort of like next level navigational skills right there. But these different fractions of mankind who have developed to such a high degree are the direct result of getting rid of the machine,
Okay.
And the reason why the reason why I think that, Dune, and that's kind of like the thing with sci-fi. Sci-fi is not about just something totally crazy and out of this world that has nothing to do with our world. Sci-fi, good sci-fi, is actually about exploring technology right now and exploring where we are heading right now. And I mean, obviously we can see that we are, traveling to other planets and whatnot, and we're also going to be sort of colonizing space and all that. But what I find very interesting is kind of like this backstory of Dune. How the machine took over and mankind has to get rid of the machine down to the calculator and sort of, return to themselves, return to the mind and body, and cultivate their innate capacities. Because what are we seeing right now? I mean, when we look at mankind, we are very much a tool-making species. I think we can even call ourselves that, That's kind of the thing that kind of distinguished us from the rest of the animal kingdom. Like, sure, other animals do build tools as well. Birds build nests, and you can even argue that that we are technology ourselves, that evolution is sort of like an R&D process where we develop, eyes so we can see, we develop claws so we can crawl, and teeth so we can chew, and, so we are developing wings so we can fly. We're developing all these different tools to get by. But what mankind is doing is sort of, taking that an extra step and actually developing tools outside of ourselves, right? Spears to hunt, baskets to carry, to carry berries, learning to cultivate fire, to roast our meat, huts to sleep in, to for safety and comfort and warmth, and so on and so forth. And I don't know, have you seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, another sci-fi classic by Stanley Kubrick? Have you watched that one?
Nope. Right.
So in that movie, no spoilers either, but it has like this legendary shot where in the beginning of the movie, we found it following this sort of a very sort of ancient ape species who kind of have this beef with another group of apes, same species, around this water hole, And what kind of like leads one group of ape to a victory over the other is that they learn to use bones for weapons. So kind of like the climactic point in this prologue is when one ape beats another ape with a thigh bone, and then like triumph, he throws this thigh bone in the air and it like spins around. And then the next shot, we have a spaceship flying through space, kind of just showing that we are this tool-making species. And, that's kind of like how we've been doing things, where we create tools to make life easier, more efficient, more convenient for us. And that is very, very nice. It's nice to have houses to live in, It's nice to have a bed to sleep in. It's nice to have food and warmth and shelter, and to watch movies and to have this conversation with you. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it has the potential to really, really sort of to really benefit mankind in many different ways. But it also poses a very existential threat, and that is that one thing is that technology being convenient for us, making life easier, and another thing is that it actually weakens us and potentially replaces us. And, with AI, we are kind of seeing the next level of this, right? Where people are not just, it's not just transportation and more communication. That was actually people using AI to write their emails, to make art, and now we're getting like deeper and deeper into the human landscape and sort of, replacing it and sort of outsourcing all these inner resources and capacities within us. Yeah. And is this really in our best interest,
Yeah.
Because are we not here to grow? Are we not here to become more actualized, right? Are we here to become stronger, to develop our abilities? Or are we just here to just live in comfort and ease and just have all these tools do everything for us? And in the Dune universe, the machines become conscious, right? And this is like a conversation that people are having, like, are machines going to become conscious? And I had this conversation with my girlfriend the other day, and she's kind of like agnostic about it. She's kind of open to the possibility. I'm of the opinion that they won't. I think that consciousness is something that that is something that is sort of like an inherent part of the biological organism, right? And so I think that every organism has consciousness, but it is something that comes from within our core. But that's another conversation for another time. But anyway, that like technology doesn't have to become conscious for it to be able to control us, because we just need a few human beings who control these technologies to control the rest of us. And we are going to become that way less resilient towards a takeover like that if we have turned back to dumb apes, because that is kind of what is happening, when we don't think for ourselves, when we don't, when we can't calculate anything, when we can't navigate ourselves in the world, when we can't, write or anything like that, we sort of putting ourselves in a very, very weakened position where we not only become more reliant on technology, but sort of like open up the possibilities that we could become enslaved, potentially. So that's how I could see like the Dune universe, at least the sort of a backstory could turn into, could be a bit of a warning signal to contemporary humanity.
Yeah, I can see that to the point where we are actually going on the era where human is getting more dependent to the machine. Like, people don't do manual maps, people don't read the direction or sign on the road. They will always rely on GPS, and when the battery is out, then the knowledge is out. And sometimes we forget that we can see at the map manually as well. And also a lot of things like, sometimes people forgot what is 5 multiply 6. Because we often use calculators for simple counting. But Jay, I wonder if it's really happened. I mean, it can be happen, of course. I think it will take long time for this Earth to be like, dude, don't you think? It's not like
I think this is kind of like a death by 1,000 cuts type thing.
Mm, yeah.
I think that and those cuts, I mean, that's kind of like, it's not going to be like this big takeover suddenly, Matrix style, just get plotted into the system, I think that the takeover of technology over mankind is like every single time you don't try to remember the temporary Google code for like your Gmail account because you forgot again, like every time you rely upon navigation when you could just look at the map and actually try to memorize the path. Every time you just have AI write that email and not actually put in that effort yourself. Every time you fill in the blank, every time you turn on the bike and, the hill is a little tough and you just want to get up that hill real quick and easy. I mean, that's kind of like where you suffer a little bit of a defeat,
Yeah.
And so I think that the revolution, like the takeover of technology, is very much kind of like within your own internal landscape. It's kind of every time you sort of like outsource something that you could have done yourself, even though it might be less convenient, that's kind of like where you're losing a bit of ground to technology. That's where technology is starting to encroach upon you, And so I think it's so no. It would take a long time. I'm not saying it's even going to happen. But we are kind of just seeing this development, and it is becoming more and more and more invasive. It is becoming more invasive now. Elon Musk developing brain chips, right? Now it's not just holding a phone in your hand. Now it's like you will have the phone in your mind, So it is a slow takeover. It's very, very slow and gradual and progressive, and that makes it even more dangerous. It's kind of like the lobsters being boiled in water type thing where we don't really notice it, I mean, if one day, like, suddenly, robots are patrolling the streets and we're like, oh my God, this is a takeover, then, that's another thing, but this is not a Hollywood movie. This is reality. Things happen very, very gradually. And, but, it is happening. Like technology is encroaching more and more and more upon our private lives. And, so I think it's important now to become conscious of this. And, so that's like the wonderful thing about sci-fi is like, it gets us to think, it gets us to have these conversations, and, exaggeration breeds understanding, which we like to say in Danish. So, it is a very, very stark, dramatic, scary scenario. Is it going to happen? Who knows? But it gets us to have this conversation, and that's the wonderful thing about movies,
especially movies about technology. If you remember the classic movie Back to the Future, that were the
which I haven't watched, by the way. I actually haven't watched it. It is.
Yeah, I did not completely, but I did some of it. I was in elementary school, I think. I remember that was the first time I know the concept of video call, which I don't believe it will happen. And then 12 years later, I have a phone and it's not a luxurious stuff anymore for having a video call with anyone from anywhere. I mean, look at us. And it's like, yeah, we have hoverboard like right now, and then flying cars already exist. And water energized car also exists. So when it comes to movies about technology, it sometimes scares me, including this one.
Yeah, and also kind of like sci-fi movies are becoming less exotic as well, because like the technology that is developing right now is so wild that we kind of like exist in the future right now. We do, like, if you just kind of like just shake yourself out of the atmosphere a little bit, stop taking all this stuff for granted.
Yeah.
Open your eyes and just look out your window. You're living in a sci-fi universe, right? No.
Yeah, because what's sure about the movie is that it has a script that created that way, so it has closure. There will be like Butlerian Jihad who will fight for the return of human without machine.
Yeah.
But the question is, we don't know if that really happened to our world. Will there be this kind of Butlerian Jihad at that time to defend us? But yeah, it's not too late to, carry out our own.
And also, something that I would advise, like don't do something like wait for things to turn like to absolute crap and then wait for the jihad. You can actually commence your own Butlerian Jihad right now. Does that mean you have to throw out the robot baby with the bathwater and get rid of your computer, your smartphone, your electrical toothbrush? No, but maybe set limits. Maybe understand where technology, like what technology is, like what you determine technology's role to be in your life, and maybe bite the sour apple and actually try to remember that one time code for your Gmail, and when you write it in, remember that phone number when the person gives it to you. you know, try to bike up that hill so it's going to get easier next time. And that's the thing. It's going to get easier next time, right? You're going to turn that mountain into a molehill, right? It's going to get easier to remember that phone number. It's going to be easier to calculate whatever you need to calculate. It's going to get easier. You're going to strengthen your skull. It's like a muscle, you know? The more you use it, the stronger it's going to get. The less you use it, the weaker it's going to get. So why not, you know, train your calculation abilities like a Mentat? Why not, instead of relying upon sleeping pills or ASMR, try to like, you know, practice breathing, practice meditation, self-hypnosis techniques to calm yourself down, to calm your own heart rate down. Why not try to actually memorize the path to that new restaurant in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
You know, might take a little longer to get there. You might get lost along the way, but then you find it and you will strengthen that part of you because it is in there. You know, like for instance, I was in Paris one night between flights, and I wanted to check out Paris, but my phone died. So I got a map of the city, and I'm so poor, so bad at navigating around town. I get lost in Copenhagen all the time, even though I've lived there for a decade. And but for some reason, because I was putting myself in that situation where I wanted to check out the Eiffel Tower, wanted to check out Notre Dame, I wanted to check out some different churches, but also wanted to get back to the airport, you know? So there was a little bit of a stress factor. Am I going to get lost? Am I going to get back to the airport? And but it kind of like kicked in. I kind of found my way through the city using this convoluted map in a country, in a language that I don't really, I don't know. And I was like listening to like train stations being spoken through the loudspeaker, and that was not the same as it was on the map. You know, there's some different pronunciation, just kind of like being in an alien country, you know, in an alien environment. But we have these innate abilities that humankind used to rely on way back in time. You know, they're still there. And when we put ourselves in a situation where there is a need for them, they can spring to action with just as much power as that person who lived in like the ancient woods a million years ago, who used that ability to navigate these huge territories. That is still within us. You know, it's still within us. So it's kind of just tapping into what is already there.
Yeah, because what's with AI and all those machinery stuff that exists in this world is like it creates sense of addiction, so that instead of using what actually we have, like you said, we tend to rely on that. Just like what happened in the office most of the time. Nowadays, people tend to just write 30 seconds of prompt on ChatGPT just to write simple emails. It's using our own skills of writing, and that massively happened. So I can see that nowadays letters are perfectly written, but at some point it lost this human touch at some point, and it seems like not artificial, but let's say everything is good. And now I start to believe that maybe not everyone write their letter by themselves. So
no, probably not. And you know, that is scary because like writing. So Alan Moore was one of my favorite authors. He wrote he's like a legendary comic book author. He wrote Watchmen and V for Vendetta, and he says that like language is the first technology that we ever developed. It's kind of like the basis for all other technologies as well. And you know, like language, writing, words, all that is kind of how we structure our consciousness. And there's some that even believe that without language we can't even think, you know. But like the ability to write is the ability to think, it's the ability to structure your thoughts and put them into sequence, you know. So, but yeah, that is so scary that there's something so that should be so personal to you, like your spoken word, right? Your thoughts, your own unique way of thinking is being sort of like outsourced as well.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I remember one of my friends told me that he got a date from a dating apps, and he didn't really write to the girl that he met by himself. So it's just asking the AI, asking ChatGPT to reply every single text that she sent him. And then he got the dates. And then I was saying like, oh, so she basically are going to go to a date with the AI, not with you. It's not really you. And said,
Well, but then when they go to the date and he's going to be super awkward and he's not going to be able to really hold a conversation and because it's just outsourcing that part. And then, yeah, very, very convenient for him, right? But it's kind of like a Pyrrhic victory where you might win the battle, but you're going to lose the war, you know? Yeah. So that's the thing. It's kind of like what you gain, you will lose 1,000-fold by using this technology, relying upon it, you know? Yes, it's going to be easier to climb that, to bike up that hill, but you've just now weakened yourself, you know? You're now closer to death in a way, right? So that is like this death by 1,000 cuts, you know? Every time you take that easy solution, every time you let the computer do the thinking for you, the writing for you, the creation for you, the biking for you, the whatever for you, you lose ground. Yeah. So yeah, I can only really like advise sort of buy that sour apple, you know, carry out your own Butlerian Jihad, and reclaim your humanity, right? Strengthen yourself mentally and physically. Don't because that's kind of like how it is. Like our society is made up of individuals, right? So we're all in this together, and you have a responsibility not just to yourself, but to fellow human beings, not to just, you know, completely let the robot conquer your life. You know, conquer that life back to you, one victory at a time, one calculation at a time, one email at a time, one bike up the hill at a time. Turn those mountains into molehills, strengthen yourself, become yourself, actualize yourself. That's what you're here to do. You know, you're not here to be an artificial product. You're here to be you.
Yeah. It's not too late to carry out our own Butlerian Jihad on ourselves and our environment. Oh, by the way, I heard good news coming from Sweden. Probably some other countries will following up. So they started to bring back the examination on the paper.
There you go.
Which is good.
And now people have to learn to write longhand, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing, right? Just using the keyboard. And I mean, I'm guilty of this. You know, my handwriting is horrible. I know human being should see the handwriting, not because they won't be able to read what I've written anyway, but like, you know, like most people probably can't even like write their own name, you know, kind of like it returns to the Middle Ages there. Make it a real time where people can write.
Okay. Yes.
So that is great to hear. Yeah. That Sweden is stepping up there.
There is a state of already when I was reading that news. But okay, before we close this podcast, Jay, would you like to summarize in 1 or 2 sentences the last message from our podcast for all the explorer out there?
Yeah, just maybe get curious about what you really are capable of, you know? And stretch yourself. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be fun always. You're going to want to just, you know, reach out for that tool and just get it done. But actually get curious about what you can do. And you'll find pride in that. You'll find pride in that. So challenge yourself and reap the benefits of becoming a stronger individual.
Great. Stretch yourself and get the benefits of being the best version of yourself. And that's all for today. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today as we explored the mind and reality. It's always been a big discussion to talk about. We still have a lot to talk in the next episode. Stay curious, as Jay said, and stay involved. And remember, there is always more to discover. Have a great day. See you next time. And ciao, ciao for now.
Ciao, ciao, guys.